Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Open Africa podcast. Today, we have the usual suspects. My name is Furo, and I have with me
Laolu and Nosa. If we sound confused, it's because we can't see ourselves. We're doing this remotely.
Yes, So, to just jump right into the gist at hand, I will start with earlier in the year, we predicted that banking as a service was going to be a big thing this year. And we see that, that trend has started to kick in with Standard Chartered Bank releasing their white label banking service solution for businesses. Apart from Standard Chartered, we also see that these guys, Providus are the guys that are playing heavily in this space. And they're backing like almost all the tech startups, so Carrywise, PiggyVest, all of them. In this space, I don't know. Laolu, do you have anything to say?
I just wanted to clarify. Standard Chartered is they're white labeling for businesses.
Yeah.
That's interesting because typically a lot of the banking as a service products that we've seen in the market have been targeted at individuals. Well, to be fair, Prosper is powered by Providus, but most of the other examples that we have were targeted at individuals. So it's nice to see banks shifting a bit in the direction of like SMEs and all. Well done, Standard Chartered.
So this is in Nigeria or Africa, though.
But it's like, it's still a step in the right direction. So in Nigeria, the people that we see playing in this banking as a service space, like we mentioned, is Providus. Who else really? Like all the other banks keep talking about open APIs and, wanting to start to white label their solution. But we don't see anybody actually in the market right now in Nigeria or like Africa. Well, I don't know about Africa, but I know in Nigeria.
Yeah, all these conversations, to be fair, they started like a while ago, but Nigerian banks are typically very slow in responding, and they're not proactive. That's the problem.
I think it's because they can't really see how they're going to make money off of it, so they're still slow. If they could see that it was clearly going to be a cash cow, then it would be a faster conversation.
Well, to be fair, I might have a different point of view. I think it's a infrastructure thing, sometimes, and I think I was thinking about this a couple of days ago, that sometimes when we say some things about Nigerian banks, we're only really talking about a few, especially those ones that are really technology forward. And a whole lot of other ones are not as forward as we think that they are. And like in my day-to-day job, sometimes you interact with some of them, and some of the questions that they're asking, in my mind, I'm like, man, this is something that we've been doing for years now. Are you guys just starting this journey? So it might be a lack of, they might not have the infrastructure, both human understanding and actual IT infrastructure to be able to do it. 2, it might be maybe it's a bit complicated. Like maybe it's not a straightforward product, like when you compare it to chasing your entire sales team out to go and bring in accounts, that sort of thing. So maybe it's the vision of the product, if that makes any sense, that they're really not seeing, as opposed to, because anyone who does a sensible analysis of banking as a service, you would recognize it for what it is. It's an opportunity to scale rapidly. It's an opportunity to bring in an insane amount of floats. You're basically going to leverage the brand and the network of your customers to acquire more customers, essentially. So yeah, that's my own hot take on that. I think Nosa is right. I think many Nigerian banks are not just agile.
Yeah, they're all like big and slow, and I don't want to throw shade, but a lot of people there should not have jobs. Like they're old. They are old. They're behind.
That one is there, yes.
That's true. They're being held back by people who are behind. And what is going to be a shame is that this is an opportunity for banks that are trying to get to the top. Like, you're not quite in that top tier there. At least those ones have that excuse. That First Bank, UBA, GTB, Zenith, they have the excuse of being, we are big enough, we don't have to bow down to everybody. But if you are on the cusp and you're not doing anything to get there, and you're acting like you've made it because you're a big bank, you're going to be in for a shock. It won't be that if fintechs will eat you up. It will be that one day, one of these bigger banks is just going to do it because it's not long. And they'll start crushing you even more.
They have the infrastructure for it, and they already have the existing customer base, so it'll just be overkill. Yeah.
All right. I mean, in other news, our brother in the tech space, our big bro, Brother Sparkle.
Who's big bro?
Big bro in tech though.
You know, never mind. You know when you said bro? Okay, this is Raz. Don't worry. So carry on.
Sparkle finally went live after much noise on social media and a lot of Sparkle conversations and people talking about Sparkle and not telling us what exactly it means to be sparkling.
Nosa, are you a sparkler?
Oh God, nah. I have no interest in what that guy is doing.
Oh man, I downloaded the app.
I think it's an utter waste of money.
As I was using the application, like one thing came to mind: Diamond Bank. That was all that came to mind, from the brand colors to the very concept of sparkling like a diamond. You know, like I could just see Diamond Bank, but it seems like he has very lofty plans for the application. I could see QR codes, like a QR code functionality, pay merchants, receive money, send money, pay bills, all of that. Not all the functions are live at this point in time. I think you can only send and receive money from other sparklers right now. Yeah. So yeah, well, that space is saturated. So good luck to them.
So for me, Laolu, I won't lie. Just because the whole launch was a bit dragged out, I kind of lost interest. So for those of us that don't want to bother downloading the app but just want to know the gist, can you please just, in a few words, just explain,
what Sparkle is?
What Sparkle is, yes.
Sparkle is wallet.ng. It is who else does payments? No, it is Zoto before Zoto died. It is
like a bank now. Their focus is SMEs, isn't it?
Not from that application that I downloaded though. The application that I opened though, still collected my BVN. It wasn't business anything. It was the usual, like what you would expect. Pay bills, send money, receive money.
I mean, that's essentially it. To be fair, that's the one that's easy to build. But as far as vision,
so maybe there's a roadmap, like there's a grand vision that involves SMEs at some point. But right now, what is on the application? In fact, I'm not sure there is any explanation. Let me just open it now again. Maybe I was blind when I first saw it because I didn't see anything that relates to SMEs on it.
No, not from the actual app, from like the stuff they've said. Like a lot of the marketing has been targeted at businesses and talking about how they can help you sell and scale up and changing the way people buy and sell.
Are you serious?
Yeah, go to their Instagram now. That is a lot of his wash.
That's the thing. Like,
so there's a disconnect between what is on their social media, what they are pushing, and I'm guessing this is an MVP anyway, like maybe just a first build. I mean, if you're going to do all of that, I feel like you should indicate that, oh, these things are coming. I don't know.
No, not really, because you want to set the expectation. So just launch what you have MVP, then as people use and you test, add stuff now.
So at the end of the day, it will be an app for both retail users and business users.
I mean, that's probably what will happen in reality. But from beforehand, before it was announced, and when he was talking about sparkling, it wasn't supposed to be just some vanilla stuff.
Or maybe our big bro has pivoted and we don't know. We shall find out in the coming days. Carry on.
I wish them the best. Like they all. I don't know if they know that this. I wish them the best. Anyway, the more the better. The more people do digital, the more it's better for all of us that are trying to do digital. The more people trust.
More acceptance, more trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair.
All right. So, because we clearly have a bias for financial services and, because that's our comfort zone, there's also the impending increase, enforcement of the cashless policy. So the CBN sent out a circular that from 1st of April 2020 in Nigeria, if an individual wants to withdraw, they'll charge 3%, and if you want to drop cash, they'll charge 2% of the amount you're trying to transact on. And then for corporates, it's 5% versus 3%. So 5% withdrawal and 3% deposits. I mean,
as far as I'm concerned, I still don't feel like those charges are steep enough or severe enough to generate the type of behavior that we're looking for in this industry. Because ultimately, people will figure out ways to beat the system. I remember when, with the first round of charges that they introduced, it got to a point that what business owners started doing is that they'll credit up until 499K. And then they'll move to their account in another bank and do that again, and then move to another bank and then do that again. And then if they ever fill up all their accounts, they'll then move to their personal accounts and then do all of that, withdraw cash and all. So I feel like people are still going to find ways around it. And if the CBN really wants to push cashless, which in reality is something that we should actually be doing, cash is it's not sustainable, with the way the world is going today. And even when you are trying to manage things like what's this thing called now, money laundering and terrorist financing, these are all things that once that money turns into cash, it's usually difficult to trace. So I feel like we need steeper penalties for anybody who wants to do cash. Maybe if you are shedding tears as you are withdrawing, next time you think about how you can use digital platforms, because they are a whole lot more stable than people will have you think. I remember, Nosa, that your tweet where you took the screenshots from the NIB sites, and NIP is 99% stable. So
yeah, NIP is stable. Its cards are not stable, but
yeah,
that one's a different problem. But NIP is stable. I think.
Yeah.
I think ultimately though, I understand that the CBN is trying to drive cashless, but I guess banks also sit up and find better ways to serve their customers that are still dealing in cash. So I know when you look at it, sometimes you look at, so if you look in the corporate space, you'll find that for the FMCGs, quite a number of their distributors and the distributors off-takers are still heavily cash reliant. So then they're different paths or places along the value chain in the ecosystem that need to be addressed. I think it's a case of yeah, first of all, the end users not being 100% comfortable with transacting digitally. And then obviously that then cascades upwards, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's see how it goes. Ultimately, we'll get to a point where cash will nearly be a thing of the past, and we'll still have cash. We will always have cash, or we might always have cash with us. But my dream for this country is that we get to a point where tons of cash becomes weird. Somebody brings 2 million naira in cash to a bank. Let it be like a red letter day, like something very odd. That's my own dream, Sha. Maybe we'll be able to catch all these people moving money in the country. Yeah.
All right. And then, so also, we had an episode earlier on in the podcast, in our lifetime as podcasters, talking about insurance and, the trends within the space and the guys that we've been anxiously awaiting their launch that, we're waiting.
Cassava, I'm still waiting for you. If you are listening to this podcast, you have a fan. Please launch, please. Carry on.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Pardon?
I don't know what Laolu is talking about here.
Has Cassava launched?
That. Talk about this. Let's talk about people that
People like Tangerine, Tangerine Life, who are the product of Vero Capital acquiring ARM Life and spinning off Tangerine Life.
Just happened.
It happened like end of February, early March.
Because I've been hearing about Tangerine a while ago, but that was an ARM thing.
That was a what?
Was Tangerine an ARM thing?
I'm not certain about that. I know that their press release was either end of February. This being Verd Capital's press release, it was either end of February or early March. So maybe it was a deal that had been in the works for a while, and then they only just got to a press release at this time. So perhaps.
Well, yeah. So I think like in terms of like health insurance though, we don't see a lot of the guys going digital in that space. So we've seen people try to do like digital car insurance, digital, so insuring assets basically digitally. But then when it comes to like health insurance, it's not yet like easily accessible.
To be fair, Reliance are like the only
guys that are doing that, right?
Yeah, and even that one about the car insurance, they're also okay. I know that many of them do comparisons like this, compare insurance and all. But are you able to buy online as well with those guys?
For comparison?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, I believe you bought insurance off Compare Insurance, right?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. So you can actually buy online.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, health insurance is still a space that is largely untapped, but then maybe it's because the people that don't have health insurance, perhaps they're not really online.
On this health insurance thing, I think it's a function of
the country,
how it is. How it is delivered. So health insurance is something that I feel, perhaps I'm wrong. I will just state that I'm not certain about this. But I feel very strongly that if it's something that you allow people structure, maybe you run like some sort of subscription type service, kind of like exactly what Reliance is doing, like you'll find success there. Because
health insurance.
Yeah, health insurance.
Isn't that how health insurance is now? Typically, like in proper market now, they deduct it from your salary every month.
So,
but I think there's an upfront payment that is made.
Yes, so they deduct from your salary every month. However, your employer has front-loaded.
Yeah. And that
So what?
front loading is the problem with many
Yeah,
things in this country, including rent. It's why
yeah,
many people can't live in places where ordinarily they will be able to afford. But
yeah, and
because you're
also,
asking them to raise all that money up front, it becomes a problem. Sorry, Furo, you were saying?
so then also because like so for instance, I mean, I was talking to my person like at the gym. I was talking to the guy that trains me at the gym, and I was like, "Yo, like, cause he just got married and he's trying to plan his life and all of that." And we're just generally talking about his financial health because I like to. I don't know why I do that, but yeah. Anyways, and I was talking. I asked like, "Do you have health insurance?" And he was like, "No." And so then you then find that if you're not employed in an organization that is willing to provide
Yeah,
health insurance for you, then getting access to health insurance is like it's hard,
it's hard. Yeah, it's
straightforward.
hard.
It's supposed to be something easy
So,
because I feel like in Ghana's health insurance system is pretty dope. Like almost everybody has access to health insurance. Like even if you're like if even as a Nigerian that goes to work in Ghana, for as long as you're working there and your employer first of all has to, there's no wiggle room.
yeah,
Employers have to pay. But in Nigeria, it's still almost optional that employers don't really have to pay. Employers still
yeah.
get away. Let me not say they don't have to pay. Let me say they get away with, not providing health
I'm not even
insurance.
sure that I'm not sure that they have to pay. It's an employee benefit. I'm not sure that anyone is going to prison legally if they don't provide health insurance. I think it's just a value. Yeah, and
And then
to a certain degree, I feel like all of this situation stems out of like the failure of our own national health insurance scheme,
yeah.
because this was something that the government tried to push, but you know how it is in this country, millions and millions of naira allocated and nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
I mean, the scheme exists, let me not act like I don't know that it does exist, and some people are able to use it, but it's not widespread, and the vast majority of Nigerians don't even know that they can get national health insurance for really cheap. What's it called? How, like, even in the event of an emergency, how likely are you to receive the help that you require? So
yeah, I think there's also like in terms of barriers to entry, I know most like of these companies that offer health insurance, there's you have to have, I don't want to name names, you have to have minimum 10 employees to sign up for health insurance as an organization. Or, what they do is obviously the more employees you bring, the bigger discount you get, things like that. Just obviously make it like, harder
really
for
difficult.
that guys, to decide to, okay, let me offer this to my employees. They're looking at the cost, like, it doesn't make sense.
Which is why I feel like if you can, especially with this one that the government is really trying to drive micro insurance, I feel like if you democratize access to this thing and give people the option of maybe paying weekly or paying monthly, like a manageable sum. Like, I'm not saying cover all the illnesses on this planet, but like cover the things that people experience, like minor surgeries and malaria and typhoid and all of those things. You will find that people will pay. If it's if it's small sums, small chunks of money broken down that they can afford. Yeah. Those are my 2 cents. Yeah. Perhaps I'm wrong.
I mean, it seems very obvious, so maybe there's something that we don't know.
Yeah, fair.
Maybe regulation. I always blame
to be fair, Sha, I did look at the requirements for starting an insurance business in Nigeria, and it's pretty steep. Like, there's a financial barrier. I think one of the licenses is like 5 billion naira. Another one is 2 billion.
You're not making your money for your license with your premium. It's not from there you're making your money. If anybody gets licensed and you're trying to use your premium to replace the money used for license, you are very stupid. Imagine you're a bank and you say, because it's a 25 billion capital thing, we are going to be charging people 2,000 naira for transfer because you have to make our money back. once you overcome that barrier to entry, your excuse cannot be like, oh, the barrier to entry was hard, so we have to make up for it.
Yeah, I think the argument that I'm making is that because the barrier to entry is so high, let me say it's limiting competition, and then because competition is limited, there's no incentive for these bigger insurance companies in Nigeria to innovate. You know, they play amongst themselves, and it's not like
if only they had a regulator that imposed these things, maybe.
Yeah. So as long as it's just them, and
when I said the thing about CBS, that there's no incentive for them not to behave like a cabal.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is the same thing that's happening now. An insurance company can say, "Look, this is a time market, and we want to win. Let's introduce this type of pricing." But so far, it's only Reliance that's done it.
Hopefully, Reliance is the first of many.
Yeah.
But then again, ultimately, but I'm trying not to throw any shade, but Nosa, have you seen the Nikon site? You should check it out. You should check out that site. It's if that's an indication of the regulator or the type of regulator that an industry has, then I can understand why things are a certain way.
They're just not innovative. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I mean,
and that's a fundamental difference between them and banks. Because even as at 2011, banks had already started. What am I saying? 2011, like 2008, 2009, banks had already started pushing. Some banks, admittedly, not all of them, had started pushing to see like what they could do differently.
Because I think for me is that in Nigeria, when businesses are safe, there's no incentive for them to innovate. And I stand by that one. So that's why, as much as I think the CBN can be heavy-handed, I feel like the CBN has to force these guys to do things. The same way I feel like the regulator has to force these Nigerian businesses to do things, because a lot of these guys are still run by older people who will not change anything. Like Reliance is doing it because, okay, look, we are breaking into a tough market. We have to stand out, and of course they're a YC company now, so obviously they have like white man input inside there. But all these other guys are just, they're just happy to sit there and just be chopping their buck. Maybe they'll send, we are doing agents, insurance agent, blah blah blah. They're too safe. Anyway, Corona.
Yeah, and
Corona.
and they make money off other things, like these larger insurance companies, like is it custom bonds that they call this thing, and marine insurance, which is a really big thing. So they're safe. But anyway, let's wait and see what's going to go on or what's going to happen in the coming months in that space when Tangerine launches. I'm fascinated.
Corona is coming. It's going to change everybody. I'm not saying Corona is coming. Corona is here. It's going to change all of them.
Yeah. All right. So let's not overflow this episode. I think that we've come to the end of the gist for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. If you have
peace out, guys. Peace out.
Yeah. And catch you on the next episode.
All right.
Till then.